I want you to remind yourself of something that happened yesterday. I'm going to tell you what it is, but be prepared. Prepare yourself right now. Prepare to remember something that happened yesterday. Let me say that again. I'm going to tell you about an incident that happened yesterday, and don't worry, it happened in all of our lives, so we'll all know about it the moment I say it out loud. It says it happened in all of our lives. But it's an event that happened yesterday, and I want you to prepare to remember it. Does that make sense? So right now you have a question in your mind. What is that question? What is it? I'll answer that in a moment. But in the meantime, until I answer this question that you have, prepare yourself to remember something that happened yesterday. Are you ready? All right, get into that yesterday mode now in your mind. Right, so you'll see those events flash in your mind. You don't know which one I might pick, but you have a timeline now, and you're sort of surfing in your timeline yesterday, trying to figure out and waiting to hear what Swami Namaste has to say. Okay? So we're going to put it into this box. What are we going to put into this box? This event that happened to you yesterday. Are you ready? When did this happen? Today? Yesterday. Ready? Actually, before that, let's do this first. I'm going to tell you something that's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to tell you something that's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen in all of our lives. And I'm going to write it in this box. So let's do this first. We'll come back to that later. It's going to happen when? Tomorrow. So in a moment, I'm going to tell you what it is. And I want you to imagine that. Because it's pointless to say, remember it. What makes sense is to say, to imagine it. Right? So here, we are going to imagine. Here we are going to do remembering. So let's do this one first. Okay? So when is this going to happen? Tomorrow, right. Get yourself in the mood for tomorrow. Ready? I'm going to say it now. This event is going to happen tomorrow. Ready? Okay. Right. That's the experiment. What I want you to focus now is not on the event. Actually, I'm not going to say anything to you right now. You got yourself into a mood, didn't you? The yesterday mood and the today or the tomorrow mood. You can call it a mood or mode, whichever. When I said yesterday, in your mind, didn't you feel something? Like something special. Something special in the sense that this is something that is going to be from yesterday. Try and switch between these two moods for a second. Think of yesterday. Don't think of a particular event from yesterday. Think of yesterday. In other words, think of the past. Don't think of any particular event. I know events might come into your mind, but it's not about the event here I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mood of the past. Now switch to tomorrow. Don't you have isn't there a difference in the way you feel that? The past and the future? The past almost brings a feeling of, it's determined. You can't change it. It's done. And the future brings a sense of hope, some anticipation. those things have their own distinct emotions. I don't know whether you can feel what I'm talking about, but I certainly can when I speak of this. So if I say, I'm going to talk to you about something that happened yesterday, even before I say it, you've gone into yesterday mood. See, just check whether that doesn't happen with you. If it doesn't, please get up and leave the room. And then think about tomorrow. I'm going to tell you about something that's going to happen tomorrow. Ready? See, when I say ready, you're already starting to wonder what it might be, and you're already in the tomorrow mode. You're in that mode, and then you wait for me to tell you what it is. If we go back to yesterday, you get into yesterday's mode or mood, and then wait for me to tell you which event from yesterday. The focus of my conversation right now is not about which event or what event it is, ladies and gentlemen. How you are able to go into these two moods, the yesterday mood and the tomorrow mood. And they have their very distinct sensations. These are all mental sensations naturally, nothing physical. But do you not feel that sensation of the yesterday mood? If I said, no, actually it wasn't yesterday, day before yesterday. You can feel yourself almost jumping back another day. If I tell you, last year, even before I say what it is that I'm going to say, last year, you're already in the last year mood, aren't you? See, last year, isn't something happening within you right now? Next week, don't these words have a very distinct effect on you? When I say next week, is it just as if I had said apple? It's not, is it? If I had said an apple, it is not the same sensation that you feel when I say the word tomorrow, day after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, in 2 days' time. But all I'm sharing with you, all I'm telling you are just words. These are just natural, normal, regular words from the dictionary. But do you realize that you have certain emotional responses to these words? And I want you to pay attention to that emotion. It's very subtle, but see if you can pick up on those emotions. And I'm going to explain to you what those emotions are in a moment. How you are a being of time. And where this time thing is all born, where it lives. Where does time come from? Where is the origin of time? Or what is the origin of time? But for that, I want you to first have this experience, this emotional sensations of time, this notion of time. It's not just the knowledge of time. When I say yesterday, there are two things to yesterday. One is the word and the knowledge of yesterday, but two is the emotional sensation that you feel about yesterday. And that's why I said, I'm going to tell you something from yesterday, and I primed you for it. So let's try that again. Last week when I arrived, that's the feeling I'm talking about. Now come back to the present moment. See, that feeling's gone. Come back to now. Look at this. Look at this object. Actually, look at this object. Just pay complete attention to this object. That feeling's gone now, isn't it? On New Year's Eve, this year, now you're going back in time. Last Christmas, so you're going back in time. For Christmas this year, now there's another different kind of feeling. Do you understand these emotional responses that you have to these words? It's almost like if someone said, I love you, and you have an emotional response. In the same way, you have an emotional response to words that convey the meaning of time. If I said the word apple, doesn't an apple appear in your mind? When I say the word apple, what's in your mind right now? An apple. I say a banana, what's in your mind right now? A banana. I say a monkey, what's in your mind right now? A monkey. I say yesterday, what's in your mind right now? What do you mean by yesterday? Is it big? So when I say apple, show me in your hand. I say apple. Give me a physical gesture. Show me apple. Okay. Banana. A jackfruit. Not polos. Like proper size jackfruit. Okay. Monkey. So you're all pointing at yourselves. Okay. Then yesterday. Show me yesterday. You can't. But don't you have, isn't there a certain feeling for yesterday? There's a yesterday feeling, isn't there? There's a very distinct and very peculiar yesterday feeling. So just as these words, these nouns such as apple, mango, banana, coconut, monkey, I say these words and it creates, you respond to these words with an emotional response. There's a very distinct and, I'm not going to say the same, but similar response in your mind to words such as yesterday, the day before yesterday, last year, tomorrow. And once you create these mental emotions, now you have a bucket into which you're prepared to put objects in. Let's take an example. So, yesterday, ready? You have a bucket. Don't you all have a bucket now for yesterday? If you were born today, would you have had this bucket? If you were born today? No, you would not have this bucket. But now you do, because you were not born today. You were born before yesterday. And you know this. Because you know that you were born before yesterday, today when I say yesterday, you have a bucket, and now you're waiting for me to tell you what event it is that we are going to talk about. I tell you, lunch. Lunch, okay? Just think of lunch for a second. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Lunch. Just think of lunch. Now, if lunch was served right now, no, I won't be able to keep your attention. Right, let's take lunch out. It's getting to that time of the day where if I say lunch, I won't be able to keep your attention. Right. Take this pen. This pen. This pen is all I want you to think about right now. Now think about this pen, but yesterday. So of course I can't show it to you now. Why can't I show it to you now? Because this pen yesterday is not this. Well, it's kind of this, but not this, because this is this today. I'm talking about this pen yesterday, right? So this pen yesterday, can you imagine that? Try and think of that in your mind. This pen but yesterday. So then we put that into this box. This is this pen yesterday. So naturally this pen was here yesterday, wasn't it? It was there somewhere. Right? I know you didn't see it, but you can imagine what this must have been like. So if you, now tomorrow, if I met you tomorrow, I could say this pen yesterday and you would all remember it. Because you saw it today. Now think of this pen, but tomorrow. Think of this pen tomorrow. I'm going to hide it again. Why am I hiding it? Because I'm talking about tomorrow, not today. Right? But can you not imagine this pen tomorrow? Can't you imagine this pen but tomorrow? You can, right? Is it this pen? It kind of is, but it's not this. It's this but tomorrow. And here was this but yesterday. Right? So let's put that pen here as well. And here's the pen. So here's the pen, but here's the pen yesterday and the pen tomorrow. These three are identical. So this is the pen now, today or now. These three are identical, but your emotional response to these three are very different. Ladies and gentlemen, these three are identical. Answer this question for me. Again, an extremely hypothetical scenario here. Could I not, if I could steal your memories, could I not, unbeknown to you, swap these around? I take this one and I move it here. This one I put up there. Or take this and I then put it back here. And this I put here. Could I not do that? But I do it without your knowledge. And I have swapped the places of the three pens, but you still keep these emotional responses. The emotional response to yesterday, the emotional response to tomorrow, and the emotional response to today, or now. This comes from memory. That's what we call Namagutta. This comes from imagination. This is just vipaka. Right? But what are these things? The boxes. Is this box vipaka? Is this box yesterday? Is yesterday a memory? Think very carefully before you just throw an answer out. Is yesterday a memory? Some saying yes, some saying no, some saying don't know. Some saying, I don't know what you're talking about, Swami. Indeed. Yes. Is yesterday the memory, or is this pen the memory? Which one's the memory? The pen. The pen is the memory. Yesterday is simply a box or a container. I mean, I'm not talking about a physical box. It's a compartment, right? It's an emotional container that you created in your mind, into which you drew the memory of a pen. Remember, you're doing it now. You're doing it now, at this moment. When does yesterday happen? Shall we do some more merits and come back here? When does yesterday happen? When is yesterday only valid to be referred to as yesterday? At present, right? Now, today. Today is the only day yesterday can be called yesterday. Because yesterday was not to be called yesterday. Isn't it? So then yesterday is only valid when? Today. So yesterday is a creation of today. So when does yesterday exist? Today. You got a headache now? I'll go through that again. Okay, now I think I can bring lunch. Because I've got your attention. Think about lunch. I'll think about, just lunch. Right? Lunch in general. It doesn't matter what it is. Think about lunch. Sandwich or rice or whatever it is you have for lunch. Lunch, right? Lunch. Imagine lunch is served. I ask you, let's assume that it's a sandwich, a cheese and tomato sandwich, right? And I ask you, didn't we have the same yesterday? So it's a question. Let's assume actually we had the same yesterday, a cheese and tomato sandwich. So I said, hey, didn't we have the same yesterday? And he's saying, yeah, we did. So think about the way that your mind processes this information that I just gave you. I asked you a question, didn't I? I asked you this, didn't we have, so when I say didn't, you know that I am talking about the past. Didn't we have the same, now you know you're talking about the sandwich yesterday. Your mind is on steroids the moment I say that. It has to construct and interpret each word that I've just told you, and then you very elegantly and eloquently answer this question and say, yes, we had cheese and tomato sandwich yesterday as well. As if it was effortless. But you don't realize there's a lot of work going on in your mind to be able to answer this question. I may not be able to cover all of what I'm trying to share with you today, given the time, but I will talk about it tomorrow, don't you worry, or next week. That gave you hope. But if you know me well enough, you know that all my promises are false promises. 2 weeks ago, I gave you a sermon and I promised you that yes, last week I would explain it to you. And this week I come here and I'm talking to something completely unrelated. Yeah? I'm as bad as it gets. But it's all right, don't worry. We'll piece all of this together. It's an experience, it's an adventure. With adventures, you don't know what you might bump into next. Lunch. What's the lunch? Sandwich. This is the best I can draw sandwiches. It's a sandwich. Okay? I ask you the question, didn't we have the same sandwich yesterday? And you say yes. When you say yes, a sandwich has to appear. Because you know that it is not the same sandwich I'm referring to, because that sandwich was eaten. So it can't be the same sandwich. But that sandwich comes from memory. There's such a thing called memory. We call it namagotta in Pali. Okay? We'll deconstruct memory another day to actually make more sense of what memory is and how memory works. But today I'm not talking about memory. I'm talking about this timeline that you experience. So into yesterday, you put the sandwich. Today's sandwich or yesterday's sandwich? yesterday's sandwich, because today's sandwich is simply vipaka. This is vipaka. If this was a sandwich, today's sandwich is vipaka. The now sandwich is just a vipaka because you're seeing it right now, and vipaka is drawn from your karmic strands, and you're seeing it. That's what's happening. But then when I ask you, do you remember the sandwich from yesterday? And it had a little bit more cheese than it does today, doesn't it? Then you go back in my, let me say, see, you're creating something in your mind. This sandwich has to come from memory, and it has to fall into the box of yesterday. Do try and understand that the sandwich came from memory, but the yesterday didn't come from memory. Because yesterday could not have come from memory. Why do I say that yesterday cannot come from memory? Why can't yesterday come from memory? Okay, think about this for a second. Today, I asked you to think about yesterday. You get that feeling, right? Tomorrow, I ask you to think, tomorrow when I see you, if I see you, I'd say, yesterday. And again, the same feeling comes. If we did this in a month's time and I said yesterday, is it not the same feeling again? Not the event. I'm talking about the mental response to yesterday, the feeling of yesterday. It's always the same experience, isn't it? Then it cannot be something that comes from memory. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday cannot come from memory. The events of yesterday absolutely come from memory. But those are the events. But let's deconstruct what's here. There's an event and there's yesterday. Think about tomorrow. And I tell you, well, we are going to have the same tomorrow. Same sandwich tomorrow. You know that it's not going to be the same sandwich because you're going to eat this now, therefore this sandwich is not going to be ready, available for you tomorrow, but we're going to make another sandwich. It's going to be similar, but we are going to have it when? Tomorrow. So when I say tomorrow, cheese sandwich, this comes from your imagination. The sandwich comes from imagination. But tomorrow, where does that come from? Can you take that from memory? No. You have to make it now. Because tomorrow is only valid when? Now, today. Now or today. Tomorrow can only be called tomorrow until the clock strikes 12. Meaning, today. 11:59 minutes past 59 seconds is the last opportunity you're going to get when? Today, to call tomorrow, tomorrow. As soon as it strikes 12, it's no longer tomorrow. So then tomorrow is only valid today. Yesterday is only valid today. If tomorrow and yesterday are only valid today, you tell me then, where do these things happen? When do these things happen? When does tomorrow happen? Today, right now. When does yesterday happen then? Right now. If these two constructs, if these two notions, yesterday and tomorrow, are both happening today, then it must be happening within you right now, right? Once again, I'm not talking about this sandwich. I'm not talking about this sandwich. I'm talking about this box. And this box. The box of yesterday and the box of tomorrow, you build today. Let's walk in time to tomorrow. So today, what is the date today? The 8th. Okay. Let's imagine today is the 9th. So now today is tomorrow. Now don't mix up your todays and tomorrows, okay? At the end of this talk, we reset everything, right? And we are back to today. But now let's go to tomorrow. So now we are on Monday. Now we are in Monday. We are in Monday or on Monday? On Monday? No, but we are in. Because I can't say we are on Monday. We have to be in Monday. Okay, so we are in Monday. So we are now in Monday. I think that's the first time I've said that. We are in Monday. So now that we're in Monday, if I ask you to think of yesterday, then you conjure up yesterday in your mind, and that yesterday is Sunday, but you do that tomorrow. When it is today, tomorrow. Do you recognize then, ladies and gentlemen, that these timely constructs, these time boxes, okay, I'm going to call them time boxes. These time boxes of yesterday, the day before yesterday, the day before the day before yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 10 years ago, 100 years ago. If yesterday is cooked today, then 100 years ago was cooked when? Also today. If tomorrow is cooked today, then what about 100 years from now? Again today. Then the whole timeline is cooked when? Today, now. Your entire timeline, this notion of time, this notion of passage of time, all happens now, in this moment. Then, please tell me, is yesterday a thing of the past? But why do you say like that? Yesterday is a thing of the past. Tomorrow is a thing of the future. Today is the present, that's why we call it a gift, or something like that. Is yesterday a thing of the past? Then, yesterday is a thing of the present. Let's use the word present for now, because it's not really present at all. It's presence, not present. Remember? All-timers? Yes? This is present. This is presence. And absence is the opposite. Whereas this is present, future, past. Yeah? That's a whole new dimension. A dimension that does not really exist. A really good example of this glitching up is a deja vu. Put your hand up if you've ever had one. I have my hand up because I've had plenty of them. It is said that only a small proportion of humans have actually had it. Maybe only a small proportion actually express it. Maybe others have them as well. But there's a good number here as well. A deja vu, for those who haven't experienced one. Put your hand up, those who haven't experienced a deja vu. Or if you don't know what I mean by a deja vu. Good. There are some Swamin Vansas at the monastery who don't know what a headache is. They've never had one. So they say. It could also be that they were born with one, right? Don't you think so? Because if you are born with a headache, you don't know what it feels like to be without one. Right? So then, that could also be true. So when they come and say, I've never had a headache, so I say, no, you were born with one. So a deja vu, for those who haven't, because there were a few hands that went up, a deja vu is a feeling that something that's happening right now happened before. And you feel very weird about that. It's a very weird feeling. It's not simply memory from before. You know a feeling like, this couldn't have happened before, but you have a feeling that it had happened, but knowledge tells you, no, this couldn't have happened. Let's say you were at someone's funeral, or your aunt's funeral, and you have a deja vu. That would be very weird, wouldn't it? Because this couldn't have happened before, surely. but you have a deja vu. So that's what a deja vu is. For those who haven't experienced it, it's a very weird and wonderful feeling. May you have many of them in the future someday. But for those of you who have had this feeling, you know what I'm talking about. See, a deja vu is when this system glitches up. Here's what happens when you have a deja vu. This is my interpretation, others might have different interpretations, but here's what I understand because I'm studying how the mind works and how the mind cooks up time, the dimensions of time. You take the present, which is a vipaka, because a deja vu happens in the present. In this moment you see this, you might think Swaminathan is holding this up. I'm sure I've seen him hold this exact duster like this, with this pen open and pointed at us. It was the black pen as well, and the backdrop was the same. He had the same drawings on the board as well. And you know, your knowledge says, no, that could not have happened. How? This is the first time he's drawn something like this. But then your emotion says, no, but I have this recollection of this having happened before. See, what I think, my hypothesis for this is this. Your mind is very adept at cooking up time. So it takes vipaka, which is what's going on right now. It cooks up a yesterday. That doesn't come from vipaka. It cooks up a day before yesterday. It cooks up the past. And what it does is, it puts this vipaka event into that box. And then you feel that this is an event that happened in the past. You don't do this intentionally, because there's no doer. It happens. You don't do this intentionally. You are uncomfortable with deja vus because you don't do it intentionally. But when you remember things from the past, you're comfortable with that. The reason you feel uncomfortable when a deja vu happens is because your knowledge, your common sense tells you, this is not compatible with my existing knowledge of the world. How could this event have happened before? But you have it nonetheless. Whereas when you remember something, that's perfectly valid. But the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, nothing happens in the past and nothing happens in the future. You have no past and neither do you have a future. When you think of a past event, here's what's going on in your mind. This is the event that comes from Namagotta. Namagotta is merely Dhamma. Mana and Dhamma. The mind coming into contact with Dhamma. When does that happen? Present. In the present. Let's call it present for now. In the present. And in addition to that, you make this box. You build a box, a past box. When does that happen? Also, now. So both these events happen now. But when you think about the past, you get this feeling that you're actually thinking about something that happened in the past. And you're merely recalling an event. It's not recalling at all. And this is why you sometimes make mistakes when you recall things from the past. If all you're doing is recalling events from the past, how is it that you can get your facts wrong? Because if it's just coming from the past, it must be right because it's just happened, right? You can't change the past. If it's happened, it's happened. But how come sometimes you remember wrong details? It's not always accurate what you remember from the past. Because this is not the past at all. It is the present always. But what makes you feel that it's the past event is this time boxing. When does that happen? Also in the present. Then you tell me, what about yesterday's sandwich was a past event? What about yesterday's sandwich was a past event? The answer is, nothing about yesterday's sandwich was a past event. This sandwich Is mana dhamma coming into contact? Now. The time boxing is also something you're doing now. So both these events, the sandwich as well as the boxing, not boxing, time boxing, both those events happen now. Then what about it belongs to the past? Nothing belongs to the past. None of it belongs to the past. Think about the future. I tell you, I'm going to give this to you tomorrow. Think about that for a second. I proposed to you that I'm going to give this to you tomorrow. Okay? Now, when I propose that to you, when I give you that promise, I'm going to give this to you tomorrow, here's what's going on in your mind. You take this vipaka, and then you create this box, the future box. When do you do it? Now. You create the future box now, and then you carefully slide this vipaka into that box. And then when I say I'm going to give this to you tomorrow, you actually think that it's an event that's going to happen tomorrow. When actually it's an event that just happened right now. The funny thing is this, right? When I tell you I'm going to give this to you tomorrow, you've already done it, haven't you? I don't need to give you to the pen then. Because it's already happened. Okay, you can look really confused. Some of you are like nodding away your head. Yeah, got it, Swaminatha, got it. Others are confused. Let me say that again. When I promise you that I'm going to give this pen to you tomorrow, okay? When does tomorrow happen? Now, where does it happen? In your mind. Where does this pen happen? I mean, the mental image of the pen. In your mind? No. So has it not already happened? What? Me giving you the pen tomorrow? Hasn't it already happened? Yeah, then why do you come and don't ask for me the pen again? Promise fulfilled. Haven't I? Because I've already delivered on my promise. So why do you come back tomorrow and ask me for the pen? Because here's what happens. Tomorrow will be your today. When today is your tomorrow, you will cook up in your mind tomorrow you will cook up a time box called the past, yesterday, and into that you will take from Namagotta, or you might be in this room and say, Swaminatha, this pen, again vipaka, Namagotta is also Manadhamma, which is also vipaka. No difference there. Again, that vipaka, you put into a time box called the past, and then you say, Swaminatha, you promised to give this pen to me yesterday. You know the funny thing is, when you come and tell me, Swaminatha, you promised to give this pen to me yesterday, well, that's what's happening right now. I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain this concept to you. When are you going to tell me this story? Can you still see that? At the back? Can you see what I just drew there? Okay. See, this is today. Okay? Tomorrow you're going to come and ask me for my promise. You're going to tell me, Swaminatha, this is tomorrow. Okay? This is today. This is yesterday. Let's say t plus 1, t minus 1. So this is tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to come and tell me, Swaminatha, didn't you promise me that you would give me this pen yesterday? Didn't you promise me yesterday that you would give me this pen? I said, yes. So where is yesterday? In your mind. When? Now. Because now is the only time you can make yesterday up. Yeah? So you have made the yesterday up in your mind, And the pen is now in your vipaka, because I can't put a pen into your yesterday box, can I? It's not something that I can do. It's only something that you can do. Because you're the one who makes that box. So I don't know when you're thinking of yesterday's box and when you're thinking about tomorrow's box. That's only your own choice, your own doing. So whenever you create your own box, and you're asking me the question, Swaminatha, didn't you promise me yesterday that you would give me this pen? When you're asking me that question, you're already doing it. Doing what? Yesterday, because it's in your mind, and the pen is in it. See, only in your mind can promises be made and fulfilled, and promises be made and broken. So broken promises and fulfilled promises are both in your mind. Why do I say that? Here you have broken promises. Here are the promises. Broken promise and fulfilled promises. Here are potential promises. These are both created in the mind, and they're only created now. Because they're only created now, they exist when you think of it. It's like that wave-particle duality of energy. So when they carried out the experiment, the conclusion that scientists came to was they did a double split experiment. I don't know if you remember from physics lessons at school. When light or energy passes through the double slit, at some points it acts as a particle, and other points it acts as a wave. So then scientists came to the conclusion that whichever one you observe, that is what is there. So the observer creates the observed. The presence of the observer is what creates that which is observed. So then when you ask me about a past event, it is something you make in your mind now. When you talk to me about a future event, it's again something you make in your mind now. Then there is no temporal past or a temporal future. Both these pasts and futures are present. Present constructs, present artifacts. They are both created in the present. How much of that made sense? Will you go back and listen to the sermon again? Okay. But I have another part to it before I conclude. I will make another false promise. I will cover this again next week, okay? Like the many sermons that I have promised that I would. Before I bring this to a conclusion, I want to explain to you why this happens. Now you know what happens. What happens is not the same as why something happens. But I think at least you got that half, that this part, just give me a nod whether this part doesn't make sense. The fact that the past and the future are both creations of the present. Did you all get that? Yes. Good. How do we confirm this? Yesterday is only yesterday, today. Because yesterday won't be yesterday, it will be the day before yesterday. Yeah? And tomorrow will only be tomorrow, today. Because tomorrow won't be tomorrow will be today. It's like a tongue twister. How much wood would a wood chop if a wood chop would cut? This is worse than that. So are we clear on that then? These are both constructs of the present. These are present day constructs. Okay? Then you understand that the past and the future can only exist now, in the present, right? So now you understand what I've just said. Here's why. Why it is that that is possible. Why it is that the past and the future can only be present in the present. It is because nothing in this world has a timeline. The world doesn't work on time, on the time dimension. Things that happen in the world, ladies and gentlemen, work because of causes. The principle that governs everything that happens is the principle of cause and effect. So whenever something happens, that happening is because of causes. And those causes must be present at the time that the effect must manifest. Again, when I say time, I don't mean the time, it's better to say the moment. I'll give a very simple example. See, this duster is now up here. It's up here because this is an effect. This being this distance from the desk is an effect. Yeah? This effect only manifests because the causes that keep it there manifest at this moment. This energy that I provide now cannot sustain this in the next moment. It's not like a do it and it's done. It doesn't remain there. For an effect to manifest, the causes must keep on sustaining it. So therefore, nothing is ever done. Nothing is ever complete. Nothing is ever a job done. Everything is in a process. So this being here, up here, is a process. Now you might think, well, isn't this, of course, a process because it's quite dynamic. Well, you can even think about this, the pen holder. You think we can put it here and forget it. No, it's not. This is a very active process right now. There are forces acting on this it's a very live process. It's a very live process. This live process is keeping it here. Therefore, nothing can be an event of a past. So past causes lead to a past effect. Does not make any sense. Present causes lead to present effects. Future causes lead to future effects. That's only an imagination. It's a story that you can tell, but it's not something that actually happens at all. So if the past and the future are both creations now, then the mind has to have the raw materials to cook up the past and the future. What are those raw materials? Now don't just repeat by rote. You must be able to get this concept. The ingredients for a past and the future is the ignorance that there is such a thing called time. When the mind accepts that things exist, can you elaborate this word exist? How do you define existence? When I say something exists, what feeling does that convey to you? Indeed. It prevails on the dimension of time. Isn't that what existence means? To say that something exists means it prevails on the dimension of time. Therefore, when you speak of existence, immediately you have to have a dimension of the past, present, and future. Existence is only a creation of the mind. It happens because of jati. Jati is what makes you feel that you exist. And the very first feeling of existence is your sense of self. Don't you all feel that you had a past, a present, and a future? That is because you feel existence. When you feel existence, everything that comes into your scope are also given a lease of existence. Remember that existence does not appear, pop up out there in the world. It's your view of those objects. So the truth is, this doesn't exist. It exists in your mind. In your mind, this exists. You have given this a lease of existence. Because you have given this a lease of existence, you can imagine this in the future. But this can never exist in the future. Only your imagination of this can exist in the future. And this never existed in the past. But your memory of it, supported by your ignorance that this has an existence, does what? You create a box called the past, and you put a recollection of memory into this. This is called a manadhamma. And then what happens? You think that it was this that existed in the past. Right. I know that might not have made a whole lot of sense, especially if you are newcomers. That would have been a little bit difficult, a bit heavy. I suggest you watch this talk again to help grasp this. But I know you won't do it unless I tell you what I'm about to say next. So what? Okay, this, and so what? Why bother? What's the point? What's the point of understanding any of this? Why should I put another 2 hours, 3 hours to watch this if I don't understand what it was taught to me for? Well, here's the reason. So I'll leave you with the I told you the what, the how, and now the why. Why does this matter? The reason this matters, ladies and gentlemen, is because all your fears live in the future. All your sorrows live in the past. Tell me any fear that you have that does not exist in the future. Don't you have fears? Are you fearless? Fearless ones? Are you fearless? You all experience fear, right? If it's a dark alleyway, if you have to go down to your basement, and we don't have basements in our country, but in other countries they do. If you have to go into the basement and the light's not working and it's pitch black dark, and you hear some ominous sounds coming from the basement, like you see in the horror movies, how do they make their money? How do horror films make their money? Some of them are blockbusters. How do they do that? Because they capitalize on your emotion of fear. Where does fear live? In the future. Fear always lives in the future. Fear is an animal that lives in the house. This is the kennel. That dog lives in this kennel. You build the house, and then fear creeps in. Tell me one thing that you're not sorrowful about that is not a thing of the past. And all of your sorrows are about events in the past, aren't they? Now do you understand why bother with this stuff? Because the moment you build these houses, right, it's not only recollections of past events and imaginations of future events that occupy these houses, but also, what else? Sorrow and fear. So then tell me, if you wish to be free of fear and sorrow, what one thing must you be able to do? You must be able to destroy this house. You must be able to destroy this house. Until you destroy this house, fears and sorrows will always be a curse in your lives. You have always cried, wept, lamented, and grieved about these things. Shoka and bhaya. That's why tanha jayati soka and tanha jayati bhayam. Tanha is the maker of these houses. Attachment is what makes these houses. Attachment to what? Attachment to the notion of existence. When you're attached to the notion that things exist. The moment that happens in your mind, the past box and the future box comes into existence. Like an apparition, it just comes into existence. And the moment that happens, now this has a past, this has a future. If you want this and this breaks, you think that it is this that broke. You think that it is this that broke. This can never break.